journey with lupus started 10 years ago, and I would say I was diagnosed by accident, because a series of events is what led to my diagnosis. My sister had just been diagnosed with lupus during her pregnancy, and she lives in the US, and I had gone to help out. But you know, before you travel to the US, because hairdressers are so expensive, you get your hair relaxed at home. And I got a burn in the back of my head. It surprised my hairdresser because that was not something that ever happened to me. And he commented that I'm getting old, soft in my old age. But I traveled to the US. It was still bothering me. I was putting neosporin on it. And my mom, who was there at the time, looked at it and she said, it looks like a fungus. My sister had lost all her hair by then and was going to a dermatologist. So I accompanied her. And the doctor looked at it and she said, yes, it does look like a fungus. Did a scrape, tested it, called and said it was not a fungus. Have you ever been tested for lupus? I said, no, I don't have lupus. I don't have any pains. I don't have any issues. I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. She said, okay, we'll test you just to confirm. And she tested and found out I had discoid lupus. By then, I had a 25-cent size patch in the back of my head here where the original issue was. And then I lost 2 other patches, same size, on my head. So she said to me, well, you're going to have to avoid the sun. I said, but I live in the Caribbean. You need to wear long sleeves, wear a hat. And anyone who has known me long enough know that I hate hats. My husband is sitting over there, and he got on my case quite a bit when I just came back. But I tried to monitor my exposure to sunlight and control it a little. I didn't have a lot of issues outside of the scalp, except for just around my eyes. I had just some little lesions that come up, little round. I didn't have the rash, so I didn't have anything at all. I didn't have any pain, so I was going to go out my merry way. Fast forward to 2014. It started out with stiffness in my fingers. My fingers got swollen. Pain started going up to my elbow, my shoulder, and there's this rotator cuff. That is what they thought it was, because I couldn't raise my hand. It came to a point where I couldn't do basic grooming because I couldn't move my hands. Then my knees and my hips and my ankle, I started getting swollen, and then some strange short episodes of very low grade fever. 99 degrees, 99.6. Nothing to worry about. And it come for a few days and go away. The medication will take it down, but it comes back up. And my doctors were puzzled by it. I wasn't going to a rheumatologist. I had my primary care doctor and an internist looking at me together. And I think they've never seen or associated fever with lupus. So that continued for a while. There was one episode where I had a fever of 104.3. At the time, I didn't know how dangerous it was, but my son happened to come home from school, came to me, touched me to say hi, and felt my skin. Rushed, he was about 15 or so, rushed out of the room, went downstairs, brought up a basin of cold water with some wash rags and started what he had seen me do with him when he had fever. And what I didn't know at the time, when he checked my temperature and saw 104.3, I knew he went out of the room. He went to check to Google. He couldn't reach his dad because he was in a meeting, so he just took things into his own hands. And I had a strange experience during that fever episode. I felt like I was in my childhood bedroom, but it was all white, bright, bright white. There were 2 men in hazmat suits with a white vacuum cleaner. Yes, I'm a dramatist. Coming towards me, and my thought was they were coming to suck all the information out of my head. So what he said I did was hold on to my head, push into the back of the bed, and started shouting out my name and different things. What I was trying to do was keep repeating things so they couldn't take everything out of my head. And I flopped down on the bed and started to sweat in the fever broke. After after that, my body was really, when you go through a fever like that, doctor will tell you, it really, affects your body. And I got weaker, my walking got a little worse, and I decided to go to Barbuda because there was a rheumatologist in Barbuda who was very renowned in the Caribbean. She checked me out, I walked with all of my files, and she said, okay, the regimen I was on, but by that time my internist had started me on steroids. She said what I was on was fine, but she added another drug to it. Came back, talked about the treatment plan and stuff, but it didn't get any better. And the fever returned at some point in May, and I got in touch with my GP, and she said, if the fever is still at 102 in half an hour, go to the hospital. And that I did. I remember going to the hospital, waiting maybe about 20 minutes or so. They saw me, they sent me inside, and I don't remember anything else until I woke up in the hospital bed the next day. I spent a week in hospital. I'm the kind of patient who comes to you with a file. So I have all my research, I have all my figures. When I go to the lab and I get my tests, I print them out. I demand that they send me a copy. So I have a full medical file at home. I kept asking to see the results of the tests that they had done. And the nurse wouldn't tell me anything. The doctor wasn't coming again. So as soon as she left the room, I went and I pulled my file, took a picture of the results. And I WhatsApped it to a friend of mine who's a med tech in Barbuda. She called me right away. She said, girl, you're in a dangerous position. Your kidneys are about to shut down. She said, that kind of reading is very dangerous. So I got, of course, right? Came to visit me after, and I said, no. I started to panic. But the doctor said that initially that was the reading, and they had done the test again to see what would happen. And they were treating me some really high dose injections, the prednisone injections I was getting. And after that week in hospital, I went from, before I went to the hospital, I was about 125 pounds. After that week in hospital and the week after that, I went down to 105 pounds. I lost weight, I looked terrible. My muscles were weak, I couldn't move my feet because I didn't have anything, it wasn't pain because the steroids took care of that. Oh, that is, nice. But the weakness is what was bothering me. I saw what had happened to my sister, who was about the same size as me when she started on the steroids and went up to 190 pounds. And I was determined not to get to that stage. So whenever at 1 o'clock in the night when his stomach is saying you need to eat, I said nope, I'd go downstairs and drink some water and go back to my bed. And I was very careful, just like Samantha said, about what I ate because I saw what it could do. And I know my little frame couldn't take that amount of weight. In a year's time, I was weaned off of the steroids, and I have not been back on steroids. I didn't have any pains after that. In the coming months, the kidney readings got better, and just the other day, my internist said, I'm looking back at 2016, 2015, and those readings and what you have now, it's amazing. He said my kidney just healed itself. I still had stiffness, and it bothered me. But I said, maybe it's lupus, maybe it's my age. But every morning to get out of bed was a little bit difficult. And I always wanted to dance as a child. And I decided, I don't like exercise, I don't like gyms and that kind of thing. It's not nice. And I decided, let me join the dance troupe and see. I had gone to Shiva's School of Dance show in June, and I said, I'm going to try that. So I signed up in September, and by December, not a pain. That's 2 years now, and I have not had one pain episode since I started dancing. Lupus made me change my whole lifestyle. I eat, I take care of what I put into my body, I take care of my mental health, I avoid stressful situations as much as possible. I hardly eat processed foods. I like to eat foods, as I said, where I know the address. So I like local food, Caribbean foods. I like to experiment. Samantha is my friend on Facebook. She sees my dish. When I experiment with all local foods to try to make it exciting because boring food makes you not want to eat it. one of the things I do as well is to maintain a peaceful and loving mindset. And I listen to my body. You have to listen to your body. Because you alone can tell the doctor, when I do this, this is what happens. It may seem like something minor to you, but the doctor is able to put clues together and figure out, well, this could be the case. You have to understand what triggers, lupus, what triggers the symptoms. One of the things I still battle with occasionally is fatigue. And I know it happens when I have a heavy schedule. So like now, I'm in rehearsal mode for my dance recital in June. So I've cut back on a lot of work because I need to rest in the day. Although now I really don't have any issues, I'm in remission, I guess, but lupus can come back at the blink of an eye and you don't know what can cause it, so you still have to be aware. I never missed the opportunity to talk to people about lupus. I would stand in the line in the bank, and if I'm there long enough, as usual, I would strike up a conversation, and invariably they know a relative, a friend, somebody who has lupus, and they don't, or they don't understand, they hear about this lupus thing, and you tell them about it, because the more people know, the more we will have access to, or open access to more information and more services that can help us. People need to understand that although we don't look sick on the outside, on the inside, a lot of us are struggling with some issues. In the Lupus Association, we have the Lupus Association of Antigua and Barbuda was incorporated last year. So we are now an official organization. And I tell people always ask, so how do you know when you have lupus? I say, you don't know, just like that, because every member of the association has a different, totally different story, totally different treatment, everything. And one of the things that I know that has made my journey easier is the support from family and friends. That is very important. Very, very important. I can't thank you. Can't thank you enough.